Before the beginning of time, there was no earth, no sky, and no sea. The universe held only a vast, bottomless abyss known as Ginnungagap. At the northern end of this abyss lay Niflheim, a world shrouded in mist, ice, and darkness. The cold here was enough to freeze the soul, with only poisonous rivers surging beneath the ice. And at the southern end of the abyss lay a realm of stark contrast, Muspelheim. A world consumed by fire, lava, and searing heat. There was no life here, only destruction. But this scorched earth was not unguarded. It was watched over by the ancient fire giant, Surtur. He existed before the gods, even before the giants. He is the embodiment of fire, silently awaiting the end of the world. Over long ages, the heat waves from the south and the freezing air from the north finally met in the heart of Ginnungagap. Fire embraced ice. For the first time, the dead silence of the void was broken by the thunderous sound of shattering ice. Rising steam permeated the void, forming heavy clouds, and within this warm vapor, the miracle of life was quietly brewing. Over the long ages, the southern heat and northern cold continued to converge in the center of Ginnungagap. The fire melted the venomous glaciers. The rising steam was not pure water, but mixed with the venom of the Elivaga rivers. Within these heavy, toxic drops, a consciousness began to awaken. From this chaotic sludge, the first being in the universe was born. The primordial giant Ymir. Ymir was no god. He was the ancestor of all giants. Evil, chaotic, and untamed. In that endless darkness, he slept in solitude until the birth of another force. Soon after, more ice melted, and from it emerged a massive cow named Auðhumla. What did Ymir eat? He survived on the 4 streams of milk flowing from the cow. And what did the cow eat? She could only lick the salty rhinestones. On the first day she licked the ice, a miracle occurred. Hair was revealed beneath the surface. On the second day, a head appeared. By the third day, a complete man walked out of the ice. He was Buri, the ancestor of the gods.
Born from the ice, Buri stood alone. He was the avatar of order, yet he found himself cast into a universe of absolute chaos. Meanwhile, the slumbering Ymir was not idle. Within the depths of his eons-long sleep, the sweat from his body began to fester, birthing a dark and twisted life. Thus, the first generation of frost giants was born. Savage and strong, they inherited Ymir's wild, chaotic nature. Among these monstrosities rose Bullthorn, a giant more ancient and powerful than all the rest. Bullthorn had a daughter named Bestla. Though born of giants, she possessed a strange beauty and a power all her own. Buri required no mate. From his own divine essence, he willed a son into existence. Borr. Young Borr, exploring the edges of the void, encountered the giantess Bestla. Order and chaos, forces destined to oppose, were instead united. Their union shattered the boundaries between the races. This was more than a marriage. It was the dawn of a new era. They bore 3 sons of mixed blood, Odin, Vili, and Ve. As Odin grew, a realization took hold. This void was too small. As long as Ymir lived, no new order could ever be established. The brothers whispered in the shadows. They made a decision that would shake the foundations of existence. Deicide. While Ymir slept, the 3 brothers, like hunters stalking prey, silently scaled the Titan's colossal body. Standing upon the Titan's heaving chest, Odin raised his spear. A single strike to end the primordial age. Agony jolted the primordial giant awake. His roar shattered the glaciers floating in the void. But it was too late. Life drained away in a torrent of blood. Like a collapsing mountain, the giant fell. The blood that erupted from the wound became a cataclysmic tide of deep blue. A tsunami that swallowed the void itself. The early giants, born of Ymir's sweat, were drowned in their sleep by this bloody deluge. Only one giant, Ymir, survived, clinging to a hollowed tree trunk with his wife, escaping the crimson tide. As the flood waters receded, Odin gazed upon the colossal corpse. From this death, he declared, we shall forge new life. They stripped the giant's flesh, and the flesh became the fertile earth. They shattered the giant's bones, and the bones became the unyielding mountains. The broken teeth and jaws became the jagged cliffs, and scattered boulders. The endless blood was channeled into the deep valleys, becoming the vast ocean that encircles the earth. The giant's hair became the dense, sprawling forests. Odin took the scattered brains and cast them into the air. They became the drifting clouds. Then began their greatest labor. They hoisted the Titan's massive skull, setting it as the dome of the heavens. To support this heavy sky, Odin captured 4 dwarves, commanding them to stand at the 4 corners of the world. The world was too dark, so the gods journeyed to Muspelheim and seized sparks of eternal fire.
They embedded these sparks into the inner lining of the skull, and so the night sky was filled with stars. They fashioned a chariot for the sun, entrusting it to the goddess Sol. They fashioned a chariot for the moon, entrusting it to the god Mani. But they were not safe. 2 wolves chased them relentlessly, forever seeking to devour the sun and moon. To protect this new world, Odin built a great defensive wall from Ymir's eyelashes. Midgard was built, magnificent in its landscapes, yet deadly silent. One day, the 3 gods walked along the desolate shore. Upon the sands, they discovered 2 pieces of driftwood, one of ash, the other of elm. They decided to grant these lifeless logs a soul. Odin bestowed upon them breath and life. Vili bestowed upon them wit and feeling. They bestowed upon them senses and speech. The ancestors of humanity awoke. They looked upon one another, their eyes filled with wonder. The man was named Ask, and the woman Embla. They would dwell in Midgard, multiplying until the end of days. But at the edge of the world, Surt, the fire giant, still waited. In the dark abyss, the surviving frost giants gathered their strength. The moment of creation had also sown the seeds of destruction.
and holding it all together was the mighty world tree, Yggdrasil. This is the genesis of the Norse myths, a world built upon a corpse.